Welcome to another episode of Morning Mojo with me, your host, Shane Solomon. I'm delighted to have on the sofa this morning with me no other than Lucy Cox. Lucy, I'm going to get straight into this content because, look, how important is it to dress in bright colours on a day like today? Look at you. You look amazing.
Bring the sunshine, Shane. Absolutely, yeah.
Bring the sunshine. Yes, you're totally colour coordinated to the brand of Morning Mojo as well.
It was obviously intentional.
Yes, subliminal. You must have been watching these and thinking, do you know what? I'm just going to wear this today. And, but I'll tell you what, let's start with this though, because I get known for wearing these crazy shirts and stuff like that and colourful shirts. But what do you think the importance is, as humans to, dress up a little bit, in better colours and, and dressing right,
Yeah, absolutely. But it's all about how you feel.
Yes.
Obviously. But the way you feel is totally dictated by the way you think. Absolutely. You cannot feel an emotion without a thought process behind it. So by putting on a bit of lippy, obviously in your case, putting on a nice shirt, getting on a nice dress, coordinating colours, it makes you think differently because it makes you really think about how you want to show up, who you want to be, how you want to come across, how you want to feel. And that changes the way that you feel in the day. So it's hugely important. Yeah. But thank you for the compliments on my outfit.
You're so welcome. Credit where credit's due. Now, 20-minute podcast with you, I don't feel is enough. We could be talking for ages.
Yes.
All right. And there's so many things I want to ask you. But let's start with your entrepreneurial journey. And you do so much. We'll talk about the singing as well. But your entrepreneurial journey, where did you first get that motivation and know that that was your kind of purpose in life for yourself? Can you remember?
Such an interesting question. Now, we've been asked this question a lot, actually, because both businesses that I run with my sister, Larin. And our mother was so entrepreneurial and always starting businesses, always had a new idea for something. And she was a real doer. Like she'd have an idea and she'd just crack on and do it. And although it wasn't necessarily a conscious thing, I think via osmosis, you can't help but pick this stuff up. And then when you do get an idea for doing something, you see a gap in the market, you are really passionate about doing something, it doesn't seem like a barrier because you've seen this thing modeled to you in the past. So absolutely, that's where it came from.
So, and where do you get your inspirations and motivation to get up and keep doing the things you're doing? Because it's not easy, right? Business is not easy. I don't care what anyone says, it's a constant, you've got to be on it all the time. So how do you still keep going now?
You've got to do what you love, Shane. Like, oh my goodness me. I think I'm a little bit addicted to my work, if I'm honest with you. I would do my work 24/7. And it's not because I love paperwork or I love, it's the why. It's why you do what you do. And the people that I work with and the clients that we work with and the impact that this stuff makes, it's just, you want this to be available to everybody. You want everybody on the planet to get a piece of what it is that you do and the difference that you can make. And it's really hard to rest when you've got that sort of energy inside you. And it's purely driven from a passion.
Yeah. And how do you find a passion? People out there going, I don't know what my purpose is yet. And I have this all the time where people come up to me and go, oh, Shane, you've got all the confidence you seem to have in the world. And, you do all these things, but I don't know what my purpose is. And I'm like 30, or 40. I have people in their 40s coming, I don't know what my purpose is. Yeah. What advice would we give to them?
We put so much pressure on ourselves to have one purpose. I think that's the thing. And this comes from school. We're told, what do you want to be? And you've got to define this one role that you want to do for your life. And I say to my daughter all the time that I've had so many different careers, and what I do now, I didn't even decide I wanted to do it till I was 40. And I couldn't have done it before then because actually my whole journey through life has led me to the point where I can now do this job and I have a passion for doing what I do. And again, it comes down to the way we think, right? Because if we're telling ourselves that there is one purpose, there is one thing, and I have to feel so passionate about it, we're creating something that's totally unachievable, and we just need to follow the little threads of joy when they come. If there's something that's interesting to you, if there's something that you're particularly moved by, if there's a group of people that you want to be hanging around with the most, it's baby steps. It doesn't have to be all of it in at one time. You've just got to follow those little threads of passion and know that you can change at any point. This doesn't have to be fixed for life.
No, that's good. That's great advice. I think I've had have that certainly from my early days when I used to sing all the time. I used to
Yeah.
think that was it. That's all I wanted to do. And then that kind of morphed into what I've done with the Cornwall channel and the kind of video marketing side of things, and then morphing back into a bit more singing again. And, so it does change. So
Yeah.
that's a great point.
Why not? Yeah. Why not do loads of different things?
I
You don't
know,
have to
right?
just do one thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about confidence because you walk in this studio today and you just radiate confidence at the highest level. And of course, you're a performer, you're an amazing singer, and you've got your own band. And I've seen you perform at my local club. I do vaguely remember it.
Really? I'm amazed.
I know, right? I'd had enough, but I do remember it. So, but your confidence is right up there. But a lot of people struggle with confidence.
Yeah, they do.
And I know this is a big subject, but what kind of, in general, do you think people can do to help with their confidence?
It's a huge question.
I know.
Absolutely huge question. I think what's really
Answer it now.
I know. Come on the spot.
Go and get a torch. You will answer the question.
Everyone's got a notepad ready. Here is the secret to self-confidence.
Yeah.
I think first of all, just to come back to the language you just used, like you came in, you looked confident, you're bubbly, you're this, and it's so interesting people's perception of what confidence is, and people think that confidence is extroversion, it's being able to be confrontational, to be able to speak your mind, to be very articulate. And I think we've been conditioned to believe that that's what confidence is. And this is one of the challenges we get with our business is that, a lot of people, they worry about being too confident because they think it's going to come across as arrogant. So again, culturally, we're sort of conditioned to be small and play it small. But confidence is an internal experience. It's an absolute internal experience, and it all stems from the way that we are thinking. I've said that 3 times already, and we've only been recording for a few minutes. But it all stems down to the way that we're thinking and what we're focusing on. And I've got I always use the analogy of a should shed. Okay, bear with me on this one.
Oh, well.
We define our lives by our shoulds. Okay, I should be this person. I should speak in this way. I should dress in this way. I should have this job, and so on and so on. And whenever we are operating outside of our should shed, all right, all the walls of our shed, we internalize that as not enoughness. Yeah. And we say, well, I'm not as confident as them, or I'm not as qualified, or I'm not as fill in the blank, whatever those things are. And we internalize this, and this can help to sort of really shrink us down and make us feel like we're not enough. And by examining what those shoulds are in the first place and why we've got them, it's like, well, why should I be doing that? And why should I turn up like that? And a lot of the work that we do really helps people to examine what those shoulds are, what those beliefs are that they're holding around themselves, and to just liberate themselves from it. Because so much of confidence is, to some degree, is this gentle knowing that you will be okay, whatever the situation. It's not about knowing all the facts. It's not about showing up in any version of perfection, but it's knowing that even without being perfect, and even going into a situation where you might not be the best version of yourself, you're still going to be okay. And that can be really gentle. That doesn't have to be extroverted. Sometimes it's around knowing yourself well enough to be able to put a boundary in place, and to, we bound around terms like self-love and self-respect and all this, but it does come down to the fact where actually I want to be happy. I want to be the best version of myself. I don't want to be a performing monkey my whole life. I just want to be very authentic to me. And that confidence comes from, being able to ask for that, really.
Mm. And it's, again, everyone's different, right? That's the
Everyone's
thing.
different. Yeah. Yeah. Everyone's
Yeah.
different. We've created something called the SAS methodology. Can I talk to you about that really
Please
briefly?
do. Yeah.
I love the fact that this formed the acronym SAS. It was a complete accident, but given that we work with people's confidence. And essentially, you've got 4 component parts. You've got self-awareness. Okay. Now, self-awareness is absolutely the biggest part of developing self-confidence, because anything that we do not understand about ourselves, we again will internalize as not enoughness in some way. Okay. So we do a huge amount of work with our clients around self-awareness. We then have a column called activation. And activation is, well, where do you want to be? And how are you going to get there? And looking at goal setting, looking at what might get in your way, looking at how you can overcome those barriers. We then have self-mastery. So you know who you are, you know where you're going, but there's a journey to get there. So it's not going to be smooth. You're going to get criticism. You're going to fail sometimes. It's not always going to be plain sailing. So how do you hold yourself? How do you manage yourself throughout that process so you can still keep going towards those goals? And then the final one, which is so important, and so many organizations miss this, is around success acknowledgement. And we are biological, hormonal creatures who, we thrive on dopamine. We want to do things if there's dopamine involved. And what we end up doing, and I'm sure so many people that have been sat on these sofas have done, they'll walk away from the podcast and all they will fixate on the drive home is what they said wrong, how they might not have been happy with the way they looked, or you know what I mean.
I
I'm
know
sure you
exactly
do
what
the
you mean.
same.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And we beat ourselves up rather than focusing on the things that we did really, really well. And this is a real kind of shortcut to self-confidence, is really focusing in and managing those thoughts around what did I do well, so that we get that dopamine hit and we build on that the next time.
I like that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Focus on the
Focus
positives,
on the
right?
positive, not toxic positivity. That's a very different thing.
Okay.
Yeah, toxic positivity is la 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 la. Everything's okay no matter what.
Yeah, yeah.
What we're doing is we're acknowledging a situation, we're taking it for what it is, but we're choosing to focus on the things that went well. We're looking for the gifts and the opportunities in a situation, without necessarily, completely disregarding everything else.
Let's talk about attracting things in business and attracting nice positive outcomes. Attracting yourself onto, let's say, big television programs that specializes, in investment in businesses like Dragon's Den. I mean, how did you get to that? I mean, I always remember the early days hearing about Lucy Cox. That was what it was for me. I was
Was
like,
it?
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I remember doing my research. Like, oh my goodness, she's been on Dragon's Den. And I don't know if it was Theo on your episode, Theo Pathetis
Theo
then.
Pathetis. There was Peter
Yeah,
Jones. No, it was Tuka Suleiman. It was Tuka Suleiman, not Theo Pathetis. It was
right.
Deborah Meaden,
Yeah.
Tej Lavali, and Jenny. Can't remember Jenny's surname.
Okay, because I actually met. We did an interview with Theo Pathetis at his office in Wimbledon.
Yeah.
But you got on there. You
We
was on there, and I
did,
mean,
yeah.
tell us a little bit about that for those who don't know. The
Yeah.
story. And
It's really interesting because, a lot of people ask me, why am I qualified to talk about self-confidence? And this really plays into part of that story.
Yeah, because you need confidence to stand
Well,
in
you-
front
you
of four of the
do.
most wealthy business people in the country.
You do that, or stupidity maybe, but essentially we came up with the idea for this product, Holto. You know it well. And at the time we had babes in arms, we were two new mums, we didn't have a huge amount of self-confidence, we had no money, we had no time, and we really felt that we'd created something quite remarkable here, and we really struggled to get financing for it. So we tried banks, we tried sort of different organizations that specialize in investment, and nothing was coming through, so we decided to crowdfund. And in 28 days we raised the £11,500 we needed to make a tool, and we got invited all over the country to talk about the challenges of investment for women and how we managed to crowdfund for this product. And it was sort of hailed as this success story, but we hadn't even launched the product yet. It was purely the journey to get there. And the number one question that was asked on every single talk that we did is, why have you not been on Dragon's Den? Are you going to go on Dragon's Den with this? Mainly because the audience was female. They totally got the product, and they really, they felt that challenge, and they just said, this needs to get out in the world. So we did. So we applied, and we applied kind of a bit ironically at first, because we hadn't launched. This wasn't, we couldn't go in and say, oh, we've made millions of pounds worth of sales. So we had no expectation of being accepted. And, sure enough, step by step, and there are lots of steps that you've got to go through, the screen test, and then you've got to go through due diligence. And we got to the point where we were accepted, and we were given a filming date. And at that point, I think we got very real with ourselves that this wasn't now about investment, because we genuinely didn't feel we were going to get investment. But having very little money behind us and doing this on a shoestring, but really, again, it comes down to passion, really believing in this product. We're like, this is, who else is going to get national television slot to be able to promote this product? So we then went all out to get the main headline slot on Dragon's Den. So we ended up doing a puppet show all about boobs, a live puppet show. And we yeah, we smashed it, and we really loved the process of going through it. Now, when it comes to confidence, we weren't confident. You know, we were absolutely terrified. We're both very different individuals. We dealt with that in very different ways. Preparation was really key. There was this one example. We were on the train to Manchester going to film, and we were practicing this script over and over and over again. And we had a pack of cocktail sticks each, and when the other person was talking, we had to jab them with cocktail sticks as hard as we possibly could do to put pressure on them so
Wow.
that they, wouldn't drop
Who
a
came up with
line.
that
Yeah,
idea?
I can't remember. But it's hilarious, absolutely hilarious. But we were trying to create these, these situations where we could be as prepared as we could do. And it paid off because it was muscle memory when we were there.
Yeah.
And I don't know what was worse, Shane, to be honest with you, like actually doing the show or waiting for it to be aired, because we were in with the Dragons for about 45 minutes, but they only showed 10 minutes of it. And of course, at that point, we didn't know if we were going to be on the show, because they don't put them all on. We didn't know if we were going to get the big slot, which is what we were aiming for. And we didn't know what the edit was going to be. But it was a very fair edit, and we did get the big shot. So yeah, we were very happy with that.
Fantastic, fantastic. So another question I like to ask the guests on this show is, what do you do when things aren't working in your favor?
Mhm.
And we all get those kind of days where you wake up and you stub your toe and you get out of bed or
Yep.
whatever. You get to the office or you go to a meeting and it's not gone your way. What do you do then? How do you quickly get back on track?
So you can probably guess what I'm going to say. You can choose what you focus on, ultimately. Yep. Every single day, 50% awful, 50% awesome. And you can choose what you focus on. Now, sometimes those days are, I'm going to focus on how the whole world is against me and I've stubbed my toe and I've got this crappy day ahead of me and it's all going to go to crap. Or you can choose to focus on some of the other things. Like, actually, I'm going to choose to put something on that looks nice and it feels nice to wear. And I'm going to make a point of ringing somebody on the way to this first meeting who fills me up and makes me feel nice. And it's a choice. It's all a choice. And we can make these conscious decisions about how do we want to feel and what are the component parts we need to put into place to make us feel that way.
Sure. So, what I want to know is, what kind of books or audios do you listen to or read that kind of inspire you? So, any kind of people that have, you know, had an impact on your life through motivating you?
Yeah. So one of my favorite phrases, anybody who knows me will know, I will say, there's this great book. And I
Yeah.
will launch into it. I read a lot. And I knew you were going to ask me this question. And it's so difficult. I think that the book I'm reading at the moment, I am loving, and it's called Playing Big by Tara Moore. It's very female focused, but it's absolutely phenomenal. Another book, which it was a real surprise to me, was called The Expectation Effect by Simon Robson. Absolutely brilliant book. And it's the science behind the things that we think actually coming true. And I don't mean in a woo-woo
Yeah, yeah,
sense,
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
in a case of, there's been this sounds really morbid, where people have thought themselves dead. Do you know what I mean? Because
Mm-hmm.
they've been so fixated on things that are wrong with them, and
Mm.
just shows the power of the mind. And I would absolutely recommend reading that book. Brilliant book.
I love that. The power of the mind
Power of the
is
mind.
quite an
Yeah,
amazing thing.
it
It
really
really
is.
is. And thoughts become things. And I'm a big believer in that. Now, you're very active as a business person now. What's your advice for people tuning in? And we obviously looking at the demographic of our audience and people who speak to me when we're out and about. A lot of
Yeah.
our viewers and listeners are business people looking to connect with other people and things like that. Sales
Mhm.
within your business. So how do you go about that? There's lots of routes to market to getting sales into an organization. What do you think's worked best for you?
We are really lucky. I mean, we've worked with over 2,000 people since we launched almost 3 years ago. And the majority of our work comes through recommendation and referral. I was at a networking event earlier on this week, and a couple of our clients were there, and they said, "Oh, we're trying to tell everyone about you because we've got so much from working with you, but it's so hard to describe what you do." And this is generally how a lot of our work happens. We've also won quite a lot of awards since we launched, and I think because we approach things in a very different way, we're very human focused, but we are very focused on what the outcome for businesses is, when it comes to things like confidence and imposter support. Um, So that works really well. And conversations and relationships are so important. And I think, just like with a networking event, you wouldn't walk in and just broadcast what you do. It's about
Oh, that's where
making
I've been going wrong.
yeah, I
I
know.
can't
Hi, I'm
believe.
Shane, I'm here. Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah. No, but it's about, really listening and really paying attention to where people are at, because there's with every business, it's never really black and white. It doesn't matter what you do, you're going to serve multiple purposes. Even if you're making fudge, your joy givers, your gift givers, your relationship builders. There's
mm,
so many different sort of facets to what you do that it's not until you can listen to somebody in conversation that you really understand what your product or what your service does for them. And having that relationship and that conversation is always going to be such a fundamental part of sales. But that can come down to confidence, yeah? It can absolutely come
mm.
down to how do I show up and am I in my own head so much when I'm talking to them? And it's really showing up in a space where how can I serve this person? How can I really listen and be of service to wherever they're at the moment?
I think the biggest tip that I've picked up on over the years as well is to listen more as well.
Yeah.
And you just mentioned there. In fact, I always say this again on the podcast. A friend of mine said, Shane, those who listen in business make the most money. He said, just listen more, He said,
Yeah.
you got two ears for a reason
Yeah.
and one mouth. So just like
Yeah.
use the ears more.
I went to a
Uh,
brilliant talk by a phenomenal woman called Blair Palmer the other week, and she was saying about, I think her statement was, listen as if you want your mind to be changed. Do you know what I mean? And it's just
sure.
like, let them change your
And be
mind. Don't
open.
go in with that fixed mindset. Let them change your mind. And it's just such a powerful statement.
Sure. So for those who don't know exactly what you do and what you can
Yes.
offer, just give our viewers and listeners a chance right now to understand what you do and your company name so they can find out.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am co-founder of an organization called The Academy. And top line, we are a multi-award winning international business based here in Cornwall. And we work with individuals and organizations of all shapes and sizes to significantly boost productivity, communication, contentment, which is such an important part of work, creativity and innovation, and essentially help organizations and individuals just be the best version of themselves. And we do that by working right at the source, which is the human beings behind it. That's what we do.
Well, I know that I need to make sure I tag a few people in this podcast I know
Yes.
I should connect you with actually because of what you do. But Lucy, is there anything else that I've not mentioned or prompted you about that you could say in this podcast before we go away? Is there anything
Yeah,
you
and
know?
absolutely. And this is born out of our experience of working with clients over the last 3 years is a really large number of the clients that choose to work with us have some form of neurodivergence and very often late diagnosed or,
Hmm.
realized neurodivergence. And one of the reasons for that is that our confidence is hugely impacted. We talked about the shoulds, didn't we? Like all
Hmm.
the walls of our should shed. And when you are a neurodivergent operating in a neurotypical world, you have so many shoulds. Like, I should be more like them. I should be making eye contact. I should be showing up. I should be more extroverted. And so we internalize that so much more. And that has a huge impact on our self-confidence. And I think what a lot of organizations are now realizing is the level of neurodivergence within their team and the amazing potential that there is if this neurodivergence is really tapped into, the level of focus, the level of creativity, the different ways of looking at things, and that diversity. A lot of organizations that we're working with now are really looking to embrace that and enhance it. But part of that is, actually how do we get the most out of our neurodivergent team? How do we as leaders understand the neurodivergent experience? And this is now something that we're offering and we're working with organizations to help. So we have neurodivergent families ourselves. We are neurodivergent. And this is another area that we're really passionate about.
Right. Well, it's all about the passion,
It's
right?
all
It's
about
all
the
about the
passion,
passion.
always.
All about the passion. Well, look, Lucy, honestly, it's absolutely fantastic to see you. Always a pleasure to have you around the studio, and I'm looking forward to getting a duet in with you soon
Yes, let's do it.
because Lucy is the most amazing vocalist and performer in the band. And give the band a shout out.
Ah, my band is
Struts.
called The Struts. You've definitely got to come and see The
Yeah,
Struts. Definitely, definitely. And I think, well, why don't we ask for some song suggestions, duet
absolutely.
suggestions?
Yes, duet selections, please. Yeah, please comment below here on LinkedIn. Just for some ideas from duets for Lucy and I.
Yeah, let's do
We've
it.
already been speaking in the green room about a couple, but we'll be interested to see if we get any suggestions. Right, well, that's the end of another podcast. It always flies by so quickly. As always, I'd like to say a massive thank you to our producer today, Mr. Jay Kennett. And as he's filming this, he's now getting ready. He's probably down to the last few hours until he's packing his bags and he's going to Lanzarote. How very fortunate.
Lucky
But
Jay.
well deserved. The guy deserves it. But as always, I wish you the best, amazing remainder of your day. And for myself and Lucy, we will see you soon. Thanks, Lucy.
Bye. Thank
Cheers.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.